Did anybody hear about that one zoo game that created like a completely insane economy?
No?
Okay, so there was this like... I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head, and like when I do the write-up, I'll find the original article that described this. But there was this basically like online zoo game that the basic concept was that there were two kinds of animals, and they were like basic animals and like special animals. But the point was that you had to trade with other players, and certain animals were more expensive than others, and it was an online base. Beat, could you look up where the train graveyard you're supposed to look?
Oh, let me take a look here.
But anyway, so the animals exist, and like the way the economy worked, like obviously
it just says Necropolis 1. I don't think there's a correct or incorrect one. I think there's only one on this one. I think the second floor of each of these is a straight shot.
Okay. Anywho, so they established like that you had to like earn a certain amount of like experience to get any sort of good animals. But like literally within like the first week all the good animals had sold out, and like the entire economy basically crashed. So all people were doing was like breeding like thousands and thousands of pigs together to get like half of a cent for a pig, and just selling like these giant piles of inbred pigs so they could like make just enough so they get like one zebra. It sounded like the most insane thing ever, and I'm sorry I missed it.
What was the game called?
I am trying to remember it. I guarantee I will look it up in time for the actual posting about this, but it was like some sort of just like Zoo Tycoon type of generic thing.
This is like how one of the most valuable items in Ultima Online ever became a green party hat because there were only like 7 of them because everybody threw theirs out. And they didn't realize that it was for a special event, so therefore, because of the rarity, it became the only item that mattered.
I just love these games that create completely absurd economies by accident.
Gaia Online says hello.
Oh god.
Yeah, that wasn't even a game. That was just a forum. Yeah, that was just a forum. But like but the lengths people went to for the swag you would put on your avatar was terrifying.
I just love that they reached a point where, like, they realized they created an economy. The economy they created was so broken, they hired an accountant to try to fix it.
Didn't work.
Did not. It worked for a bit, and then it got worse. But also, they should have seen what was going to happen when they, like, sold currency generators at some point.
Well, that ought to do it.
Good job.
At least we got to see the train graveyard again. Yeah, no, I'm inordinately annoyed that World of Final Fantasy has 1, 2, 3, 4 bonus dungeons in the original version that just reuse assets, and then they added an entirely new dungeon to the Maxima version, and it's just reusing assets.
It's really bad too.
Like,
Yeah,
these dungeons were not great the first time.
I've just ceased paying attention to what's happening. Sorry.
Oh, I gave up hours ago.
This'll be a tough.
Hey, CaliScrub, want to hear my opinions on Hyrule Warriors? No, you don't.
Are these opinions?
Got bored and started playing with
Are these opinions that Fanboy and Goggle Bob have already heard?
it. Yeah.
Presumably.
I wasn't listening.
Alright, then sure, why not?
It's okay. It's cowardly as shit, but, you know, like, as far as, like, the actual parts where you just mash the X button goes, it's a pretty good X button masher.
That wasn't so bad.
Why didn't they call the new Xbox that?
A button masher?
No, an Xbox, an X button masher. It'd be on brand.
The Xbox Series button masher.
Officially, the new Xbox is just called the Xbox.
That's beautiful.
I am so glad my grandmother's not alive to buy me things. It's the only thing that brings me solace.
Given your age right now.
You are totally going down.
Look, my grandmother could only express love through buying people other things. It's like was the only way that was possible. So she'd
I'm just
still
saying
be.
that at this stage, given your age,
She would literally be like 102, and she would be walking into freaking GameStop.
oh man, surrounded by confusing Funko Pops.
Yeah.
At some point, that became the majority of GameStop's economy, and I'm not okay with it.
I mean,
And it's not this
GameStop's,
game's fault
bottom
per
line
se,
is-
but I'm gonna blame this game anyways.
I feel like you should, and that's fair.
That's why I get fucked, villager.
Predictable.
So, Beat, you're playing through Hyrule Warriors. Are you doing like every little side quest that pops up, or you're just ignoring the like? I
Not on
need 3
purpose,
trout to
but
get through my life.
But I kinda did.
I mean, I think that's my biggest problem with the idea of the Breath of the Wild, like, prequel.
For use?
Because, like, it seems like the kind of universe that should be, like, fairly idyllic before... God damn it, another no items floor.
Pretty much.
Before everything goes to shit. And, like, people shouldn't have to ask you for fish. They should just have fish.
Oh. I mean, that's just video games, video gaming.
Well, of course.
I didn't put much thought to that. They really should have just done the thing the first one did with like having a million adventure maps for like all the extra content, because at this point I have reached the ending and my map screen is just a mess of grayed out and yellow icons just all over the fucking place. Totally incomprehensible.
Don't bother.
And as always, when I play these Musos, I have one character I really like, 2 characters I'm okay with, and a bunch of other characters I just hate, or didn't want to bother to learn. So my link is my link at this point is, no bullshit, a level 90 God King. Mifa hovering around 60, since she's pretty easy to understand. Zelda's at 30.
Yeah, Zelda I found very confusing to use, and that's despite the fact that Zelda Breath of the Wild might be one of my favorite Zeldas, period.
The fact is that this entire game is really Zelda's story. She is the main character, she is the protagonist, she is the one that has all the emotional beats, all the like big moments. She is the main character. No other way to describe it. Which is weird that all I ever play is Link. That makes it weird. Because
Well,
she is
even in the context of the Breath of the Wild universe, and having not played much of the Hyrule Warriors version, but she always struck me as, and I hate to say it, she always struck me as the Zordon to everybody else's Power Rangers. Like,
Yeah.
she's the one that's like, okay, team, this is what we're gonna do. But she doesn't get a giant robot of herself.
She's definitely calling the shots in this game. She's also definitely taking a much more active, like, combatant role. Hopefully that was the correct crystal.
Yes.
Alright, cool.
The third area of everything, this is just such a lazy dungeon. The third
Okay.
area of every part of this is always just the stupid, battlefield from early in the game.
What? It's
Yeah.
fucking lame. Alright, do you need, like, the next location, or...
First I gotta
through
fight
them
the
all now?
boss, so just hold off
Okay.
for the moment.
Sure. Yeah, no, like she is absolutely the main character in this game. Like, not even like arguable that Link is the main character. Link is someone she knows. That's it. And in fact, like I said, he comes across as almost feral in this game because he's the only one that like doesn't talk ever. Even in the original Hyrule Warriors, he had a fairy named Proxy. Get it? Haha, we're fucking clever. Talk in his place, which was basically like the way that the Link could remain a mute, but he had like Navi with him, and Navi would tell you what he was thinking. And like there was a little bit of an arc. The original Hyrule Warriors is legendarily terrible plot, which is why I love it.
Oh yeah.
But like the fact that like it actually allowed Link to like sort of come across as having a personality, and as such, he was kind of a tool. Just kind of a tool.
Yeah, no, and now that all he's got is R2-D2 to help him out.
Yeah, well, R2-D2 doesn't even give a shit about Link. R2-D2 is all about Zelda. So like R2-D2 could not care less about Link. Like Link's the one that found it. It's like whatever, man. Where's Zelda? I ain't. So as a result, like Link gets the cool sword, and Zelda, as in Breath of the Wild, is like sort of jealous for a minute. But I'm assuming you know that it's not going to be a bad end.
Yes, well, that seems to be the major point of contention. That
Yeah, that's my major point of contention. I wanted a bad end. I wanted them to just go all in and sit and do, no, fuck you, we're doing Halo Reach. Yes, we are going to just throw you to the wolves and say survive at the end. And you can't survive.
So basically making it a prequel to Breath of the Wild.
Yes, exactly. But this game does not do that. This is a the comment I saw on YouTube that always makes me smile is guy slapping the top of the Zelda series. You can fit so many timelines in here.
That is an accurate description.
Yeah, so it's an alternate timeline. The time travel R2-D2 made a second timeline. Whatever. Fuck you.
On the bright side, you aren't one of those people that I have seen saying that
Be careful.
Nintendo, that this game being an alternate timeline means that Nintendo committed false advertising. It must be brought to justice.
I mean, Nintendo did say, now you will know the true story of what happened 100 years ago. And I'm not saying that it was false advertising. No, we all knew they were going to be fucking cowardly. I'm mad at them for being cowardly. I'm not mad. I don't feel like I was lied to.
No, there's been a lot of claims of any sort of twist in a video game amounting to false advertising.
Well, that's just probably spillover from the guys who hated FF7 Remake.
Yeah, no, same people.
Yeah, I am here for that interpretation because that is so
In any
bonkers.
fashion that I have been falsely advertised to.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that I was falsely advertised to. I'm just saying that, like, Breath of the Wild starts with you waking up in a coffin as a literal dead man in a dead city in a dead nation, and it's all about failure. Essentially, it's all about how. Guess what? The apocalypse happened, and instead of like being able to stop it, no, it all got fucked up. Everything went to hell, and it's been that way for so long. The number of people who can actually remember it not having gone to hell is like can be counted on one hand at this point. Except the Zoras, those guys.
I was going to say they're fish people.
Yeah. Except the Zoras, those guys just live forever. Which is like one of the best details is like when you go there, they're all like, "Oh, hi, Link." Wait a second. No, you guys don't live that long. What's going on here? Everybody's reaction to you is like, oh, hey, Link, it's been a while. Wait. Too long. Something's up.
And I also like the subtle implication that the other dudes, I just want to say bird dudes, the Ruto are kind of the complete opposite, and they're kind of like, it has been many generations since we've seen, like, anything.
My headcanon, the Zora lived, like, to get to 300, the Rito lived to maybe 50. They max out around 50. So, like, for them, it's so ancient history that, like, they don't even, like, They don't even like. They don't even their wisest, oldest elder wasn't around for that shit. They just have a shorter lifespan in general. Also, they're birds, so they don't like being on the ground.
Yes. Well, they are birds.
They're definitely birds.
So I'm wondering.
All the choices it made are fine if they wanted to do a typical Muso story, I suppose. And like I've seen people saying, "Well, you should have expected a bad plot from a Muso." Fuck you! I'm never going to expect a bad plot and not bitch about it. You don't get to say that like it's an argument. But like, the plot as it exists is mostly just disappointing. It's like, okay, you had like an opportunity to do something that was actually really interesting, and you did, a couple things that haven't been done too much in the Zelda series, namely Zelda being the actual main character with the actual character arc and everything, and Link just sort of being on the sideline. Sure, that's new. That hasn't been done before to my knowledge. But, what worth, just throwing away the really, really, really interesting thing Breath of the Wild did, and then, like, having the opportunity to actually give that interesting thing more impact, and instead you just went, no, we're fixing that. It's not sad anymore. It's not a tragedy anymore. Everything's fine now. I just don't buy that. I'm not okay with it. Pisses me off.
Okay, the description for Lich is trying to make us say a dirty word.
Mirage of powerful mirage. Why would that's all I've. God damn it! This game's rated E for everyone, right? I hate it when people try to be cute like that. That's my job.
So, anybody who was paying attention to the battle that just now happened,
Oh, don't worry, I will.
Lich was a giant jerk because every time apparently one of my characters died, it restored HP by the amount of their HP. And it was constantly using death attacks to make that even worse. But I remember that this is a Final Fantasy game, and I used a elixir on it, and it died instantly. So da-da-da-da-da-da.
Da-da-da-da. Okay, so what happens now?
The final portion of this dungeon, the final quarter.
God,
we're now in the area that looks like Dragon's Pass or whatever it was called. So
Dragon's Pass, Winter Out, Dragon Scars.
yeah.
Okay, correct warp crystal is found by taking the fork on the right, down the ledges, and all the way to the end.
Okay. Continue about your talking about other things.
What else is there to talk about? I just feel like
Be careful.
they made a game about failure and then announced the game and said this is the point where it all failed, and then didn't make a game about failure to show the failure. I feel like that was bad and dumb and wrong. I don't think I was lied to. I don't think it was false advertising or anything like that. I just think it was, they were uncomfortable with the idea of a Zelda game where Link literally dies at the end.
I mean, that probably fed into it, but there's probably also the idea, like, eventually, well, you know how this goes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the thing, is that legitimately, they were talking about it on the forum with, the champions' arcs wouldn't complete because they would die and whatever. But legitimately, I feel like...
That's the point!
I was about to say, not only is it the point, but it was never about the champions. It was about Zelda and her own failure.
Yeah.
So, the fact that Zelda would have to watch everyone die, I'm not exactly suggesting it's going to be a fun time for everybody, but by the same token, it's kind of like that was the point.
It was about failure. And this is I believe I referred to it as the fix fic. It was I didn't like that, so I'm just going to write my fan fiction version of it where everybody's happy and everything's fine, and then they all work in a coffee shop together, and it's super comfy. Comfy.
Yeah.
Comfy is the word I would use to describe this. It's very comfortable. At no point do I feel challenged by what I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. And yeah, that's kind of the thing, is that, like, the ultimate goal, I feel, of something is to at least make you feel something other than comfort, which comfort's okay, but I feel like when you're coming off of Breath of the Wild, like, that is not a comfortable game. That's a game where you're supposed to find, like, you know...
Breath of the Wild, if anything, gave me the impression of a game about failure 1, and a game about exhaustion 2. You could die from so many things in Breath of the Wild, unrelated to getting your head caved in, and all of them are present right from the beginning. Like, you can die of the cold on an outside. That's something that can and will happen to you. And that's a powerful thing to, like, encounter in a video game. Like, you get the impression that this is not a comfortable world. And this game, by contrast, felt very comfortable. It felt very safe.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of thing, like, one of my number one things in Breath of the Wild was, I think this is true for a lot of people who played it and played previous Zeldas, is when you get to not even Hyrule Castle, but the outskirts of Hyrule Castle, where it's obviously what used to be Hyrule Castle Town, and it is not doing well.
Yeah, no, like, the entire place is just dead.
Yeah.
Like, anything, the Mouse is basically the fantasy equivalent of nuclear fallout.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, like, to a certain degree, I mean, again, this is me describing a game that clearly they didn't want to make, which is okay. But, I mean, the game that I kind of wanted them to make was basically almost like a horror story.
That's kind of what I wanted.
Like, basically, like, you have this cast of characters, and in the same way you have a bunch of dumb teenagers at the start of a horror story, you know these guys are not making it out alive. And it should feel comfortable in the beginning, but it should, like, I don't know any other way to describe it, it should kind of gradually pervert itself in that what was previously, like, a safe area becomes something that is infected with malice, that is, you know, causing problems.
It becomes unsafe, yeah.
Yes.
And, like, you know, Hyrule Castle does, you know, get, like, you know, fucked up and everything, and, like, yeah, but it feels much more like just the end of Super Mario, the Wii U one, where, Bowser took over Peach's castle, but, you know, it's Bowser. Just gonna kick him out. It's not a big deal. It's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I think you and I are on the same page. It's like I said, basically I feel like what would have been the better game would have been essentially a horror story.
Pretty much, yeah.
Where it's not so much that these characters are supposed to grow and change, it's that you're supposed to basically sit back and do nothing while you know that, you know, Mipha's like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out in my little space elephant and everything's gonna be fine, and you're like, oh my god, don't go in there.
Yeah, pretty much.
I should be able to handle water blight cannon. That shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, like, the whole thing was that they couldn't handle it.
Right.
It was not something that they could handle. It was not something... It was one of those things where, like, it's not anybody's fault, although arguably it is Zelda's fault. Because
it is absolutely Zelda's fault.
It is absolutely Zelda's fault. But, like, you know, that's a lot of, like, blame to put on a 17-year-old.
Well, I mean, and also that's kind of the point, in my opinion, that basically... There's a point in Breath of the Wild that kind of, like, whether this is the moral or not, where it's kind of like, our culture believes that some random teenage girl is going to get magical powers and that will save us. And it's like, somebody should be saying, this is insane.
Yeah, like at one point her dad, like, literally tells her, no, you have to get the magical powers.
Yeah, stop trying to find another solution to this problem. This was perfectly fine for your grandparents. It's perfectly fine for you.
Yeah, like, we've been doing the teenagers with magical powers thing for as long as we can remember. Always teenager with magical powers. We're not gonna change. We're not gonna rock that boat.
Just because you don't have magical powers doesn't mean you won't have magical powers. Get back on the train.
You just gotta get the magical powers.
Get in the car.
I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know why you're having so much trouble with this. But yeah, it's. Wait, is that the beginning of the level? Did it warp you back? Please tell me it didn't warp you back. Please tell me I gave you the right instructions.
As far as I can see, I'm still on new stuff, so to speak. This is just
good.
It's all the stupid Crystal Palace. I can't believe they had the audacity to bring this dungeon back.
This dungeon sucked the first time around.
Totally
Exactly.
Oh, I don't know about this.
But yeah, it's like part of like the impact of Breath of the Wild for me was seeing that they put all their eggs in the teenagers with magic powers basket, and that basket broke. They had one teenager that figured out his side of the equation. It kind of fucked up his life, and that was why Link in Breath of the Wild was so interesting to me, because
and I also feel like that's a great parallel to Zelda in Breath of the Wild, because Link is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. Like, he's got his Master Sword, he's kicking Lionel butt, he's protecting Zelda. Like, he is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, but it is really not great for Link. Like...
No, it's not, like...
He literally winds up dead as a result.
Yeah, like, it does not end well for him, and it's kind of fascinating to me because beyond that, not only does like his entire life get fucked up, but like it also sort of costs him everything. Like,
oh yeah,
you know,
he literally has to buy back his own house.
He has this job from like a young age that he was good at, but that doesn't mean he was like necessarily happy with it.
And everybody tells him that he's like destined for it, but guess what?
Yeah, I sort of got the impression that, like, given the choice, he didn't even really like Zelda. He respected, like, the importance of his duty and everything, but he had a girlfriend, and it wasn't Zelda.
Yeah.
And things were getting serious.
Yeah,
like,
no, he had a fish girlfriend.
Yeah, he had a fish girlfriend. He had a life that he was planning to live after this bad thing happened. And he didn't get to do it because... spoiler alert, he died.
Well, and also, spoiler alert, but also the other side of that, too, is Milfa, who I'm kind of disappointed to find out. I'm assuming she isn't explored to the utmost because...
She's not.
Yeah, because she was fascinating to me in Breath of the Wild because... She was Link's girlfriend who had to stand by next to literally the princess of the kingdom and be like... Alright, you can borrow him for a while, but I'm still making him a betrothal sweater. Like,
yeah, like, you know, we are getting engaged.
Like, I'm working on... And just, like, there's an unspeakable sadness when her dad is like, yeah, here's your engagement sweater, you're both dead.
Yeah. I mean, you're alive somehow. I guess they put you in a tube. They literally just put you in a magic coffin. You wake up in a coffin. You are a dead man walking. But no, they barely explore that at all. Link, as I said, Link comes across as almost feral in this version because all he does is
are we up to this?
all he does is be the player character 90% of the time, which means that he basically just screams, charges into things at like max speed, and just tears them to shreds. So in this one, he's more like an animalistic force of nature than anything else. Which, you know, it's a Muso, that's to be expected, but like, given like his total lack of dialogue outside of like cutscenes and stuff, and like very like limited actual portrayal, you know, doing nonverbal stuff, because like, you know, a character that just doesn't like talking, but still can like emote and still can like has obvious thoughts and feelings would be an interesting, like, you know, twist on it. Would be like a neat thing to see them do, but clearly they weren't either comfortable with it or like were just so focused on doing the Zelda story, but they just pushed it off to the margins. So you like see him do occasionally stuff, like hang out with people who like him, like he hangs out with Daruk in one or two scenes, and like there's a shot of him like just chilling with the other soldiers that's like kind of neat, like implies that like, oh yeah, he did have like, you know, friends and stuff, but like there's so little of it. Like, I think the only, like, real big Link moment is when, like, you recruit Daruk, and Daruk hands Link a rock steak, and Link just starts eating it.
Hell yeah, I'm hungry.
Yeah, like hell yeah, I'm hungry.
So
What
he's
do you
just
mean this isn't
Goku.
food? What do you mean this isn't human food?
I mean, I guess the thing about Hyrule Warriors 2, and this will inevitably be whatever article I write about it, but I guess the point where I realized that this wasn't going to be the game was when they actually advertised that you get to control the divine beasts. And, like, that is empowering, but I am, like... I'm on the fence as to whether or not you should feel empowered by anything that has anything to do with Breath of the Wild.
Like, yeah, like I was, like, it is kind of cool when you stomp around in those things, shooting lasers all over the place and shit. But at the same time, I feel like it's missing the point. Like, the entire point in Breath of the Wild was, yeah, we made these literal, like, giant fighting robots in a fantasy setting where you would never, like, expect to be able to, like, see a giant fighting robot. This should basically be a one-hit kill on anything anybody throws at us, and they didn't work. But in this one, they do. They worked perfectly. Everything worked out fine. Like I said, it's very comfortable and very safe. Everything that, like, seems like the obvious answer is, in fact, the obvious answer. This is the way it rolls out.
What were you referring to? Like the thing that was supposed to work didn't work?
The divine beasts, like, you know,
okay.
the giant robots that they have, the giant elephants and, like, the giant bird.
Yeah.
The
that
giant
basically
camel.
got turned against you.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it was supposed to be your trump card, and it was like, oh hell, no, it's not.
No, it's not. Those things.
They did not virus protect. They did not virus protect.
They didn't have virus protection. Ganon just scooped in and said, "Hey, nice giant fighting robot you got here. Mind if I borrow it?"
The king was probably trying to mine some crypto.
King was using it to overclock a coin mining rig.
I choose to believe the king got a very persuasive email. He was trying to buy Amazon gift cards. Zelda, why did you send me this email? Of course I'll send you these Amazon gift cards. Oh no!
So, like, are we gonna get, like, extra story content at the end of this? Because the story in this game was not great.
I'm pretty sure that's... Well, here's the deal. If we complete literally everything, which I have absolutely no guarantees on, after this... Okay, we're on part 4 of 4 of this dungeon.
Right.
My understanding is that there is a capper boss for this dungeon.
Alright.
And then there are 2 more other super bosses in this game, and both of them are fairly easy to access. This is the longest anything at the end of the game here. So if we're able to beat those 2 super bosses, that then makes the final boss an even more super boss. And if we beat that boss, then we get some sort of crazy preview for World of Final Fantasy 2 or something like that.
They were gonna do that?
We don't know because we, and by we I mean I, have never fought the other 2 super bosses, and to be perfectly honest, if they're too much, I'm just throwing up my hands and being like, welp, it's been fun playing.
Game over anyway.
I mean, it's one of those deals wherein the ultimate final bosses are like mega bosses that literally are the last challenge in the game. So there's no, like, if you beat them or if you don't beat them, you're turning off the game later anyway. So yeah, it's game over regardless. At this point, unless there's like much more of this dungeon, which I don't think there is.
Yeah, no, you're pretty much against, like,
I
according
could-
to the
I
guide I've
could
been given.
Very safely say that this is the last night for World of Final Fantasy.
Okay. Thank God. I mean, you know, it's been fun talking and hanging out and, like, having, like, this opportunity stuff, but this game is boring as shit, man.
Yeah, no, there's a lot that, like... I mean, this is a game that, like, theoretically could include every character in the Final Fantasy mythos, and it's kind of like, well, what happens
somehow
if...
had no characters, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
It had, like, Final Fantasy puppets. And it's also, amusingly enough, like, this dungeon is revisiting the original 4 fiends from Final Fantasy 1, which is neat. But guess what? We've done it in like every other Final Fantasy that has ever been released.
All I can think of now is the fucking Dwayne and Brando song.
Also, even within this game, we already fought Tiamat and Kraken. Just Lich and Carrie or Marilith were the new ones. So it's like...
I'm aware of it, like Carrie was supposed to be named Marilith. Is that like a recent localization change, or is that always the intention?
Fanboy?
I promise I'm not talking about Hyrule Warriors, Fanboy. You can come back.
It's the world is at peace.
Over, it's safe.
What were you asking?
I was saying you were mashing on your keyboard super hard, and I was wondering what was up.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, well, who was?
Oh, that was me. I was typing. I was typing.
You asshole.
Oh yeah, because I have a mechanical keyboard. It's very clickety clackety.
It is very clickety clackety.
The question posed was, when did Carrie start being Marilith again?
I'd probably guess around Dawn of Souls if I were to have to guess, but I've never actually checked.
But you weren't playing you.
Yeah, there's that keyboard. Oh.
Oh my god. Every link assumes that I'm thinking that I don't know what I'm asking for. I'm in fact looking for a fucking FF14 thing. Just friendly neighborhood Final Fantasy with David flying.
I always like Carrie. That was great.
Yeah, same.
The assumption at the time was that it was someone had. Okay, yeah, Marilith. Yeah, it was seemingly a mistransliteration of Cali, is what people assume it was. At which point I would be fine. Like, I'm checking whether this was a case of they changed it in Japan and that propagated worldwide or not. I could totally see why they would change it. But apparently the name Marilith is from old D&D campaign settings, so that's actually probably the original name, since so much of the name, so much of FF1's bestiary is just ripped straight out of the D&D manual.
So it was originally Cali.
No, it was originally Marilith, because they ripped shit straight out of the D&D DMG. Then the localizers took one look at that and probably thought, oh shit, you stole that from the D&D monster manual, and weren't sure what the status of that would be. They changed it to Cali, and then that filtered back to the people programming localization in as Carrie.
Alright, sure.
I'm perfectly fine with not with that name change.
Yeah, no, it's just a good name.
I'm perfectly fine with not keeping it as a mistransliteration of Cali.
And then they decided to just go with Shiva for everything else.
That was ingrained too deep. But it would be nice if we didn't just, like, turn the entire Hindu pantheon into random things you kill in a video game.
And sometimes summon.
Yeah.
That wasn't so bad.
True.
Is somebody playing a Capcom game?
Say what?
I said, is somebody playing a Capcom game?
Possibly.
What frick's that? Also.
Oh no, that's my phone text tone.
Oh yeah.
Notification is the Street Fighter 2 coin sound.
Very good. I'm not going insane.
This This looks
this
like bad
dungeon
news.
just keeps
I'll get us
going.
through this.
It never ends.
But again, this is the ultimate dungeon in this game, so after this, no more dungeons.
Will be free. The damage will be irreversible. But
But a lesson is learned. That is, we don't need to play this game anymore.
not sure if that's really a lesson, but
It's something we learned.
I feel like
We definitely learned something.
B, can you just confirm that the area that looks like the ice thing does not have 2 exits?
Let me switch back to the tab. Let's see. Crystal Tower, Icicle Ridge.
Yes.
Says final route resembles Icicle Ridge, Slip 2. That's totally unhelpful.
What does it say?
Slip 2.
Like SLIP?
Slip 2, yeah. That's LIP.
Alright.
Alright. Doesn't make any sense at all, but given that it doesn't say have the words correct one, like all the ones that have a right and wrong answer for do, I assume that it's a straight line. No wrong choice. Final round, yeah. Resembles Icicle Ridge, Slip 2, Floor 2. Resembles Underground Prison, Option 3. As with Area 2 of EX Dungeon B, there are no fixed encounters with searchers. No idea what that means. And finally, Boss Room, Secret Ordeal. Has only the save crystal in the dungeon. Has the only save crystal in the dungeon. They did not give you any save crystals? That is some bullshit.
You could...
you can escape from the hub.
Yeah, you
This
could
game
leave at any
sucks.
time. I did it after the initial first boss, and Lich was the only one that gave me a run for my money, so I'm not feeling too bad about that.
Before I fall asleep.
But the random rooms where you're not allowed to use items were kind of a giant jerk because you couldn't use items. So you can't use spells outside of the battle in this game, so healing was kind of a pain. There we go. We're back up at full health. So what? Your text is saying that there's only 2 more areas that we have to worry about here?
Yeah, Floor 1 and Floor 2, you are awfully close. It appears that there's not an actual wrong or right path, but whatever.
Am I going in a circle here? Yeah, it sure looks like it. Supposed to get over there. Nothing like an ice sliding maze to make you feel good about yourself.
Yep, pretty much.
I'm bad at these things. And there was supposed to be a map in the last one, but now there isn't
I'll
a
get us
map.
through
That
this.
makes me sad.
This looks like bad news.
So anybody want to go over our favorite World of Final Fantasy moments?
There was that time.
Intentionally blank.
That was that. That's up there, yeah. There was that time I got distracted by the relative positions of the planets and the relative distance between them to each other. That was pretty dope. I think though that caused that one stream I was writing up to last a good 30 minutes longer.
I think it was only like
I feel
10.
bad about that.
And we were learning new and interesting facts.
We were. Well, old and interesting. They mean available forever, but I'm actually watching the stream. It has my full and undivided attention.
Oh, I feel bad for you. Wait, no, you're probably just lying again, aren't you?
I could be. You don't know. Maybe I'm stuck in the waiting room in between Smash matches. Somebody's gotta get
Distinct
their ass kicked by
possibility.
Little Mac.
Oh, they don't.
Oh, damn. Painful. I found this dumbass video that was just the IQ of each Smash main, And for Little Mac, it was just 5 and the word why. like a literal "who hurt you" thing. And I can't disagree with it.
Who hurt you?
Like, if there's one thing us Little Macs our back mains are very much aware of, it's the inherent cruelty and unfairness of the world.
The world you burn.
I didn't earn it. This was unfairly. This was presented to us on a platter, and we were told to accept it.
And you just kept being a little Mac man.
I like him. He's a good boy.
Anybody good at ice sliding puzzles? Because I suck at this.
Nope, not even slightly.
Nobody's
damn
good
it.
at ice sliding puzzles. There's no such thing as somebody who's good at ice sliding puzzles.
Like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Fucking Mega Man.
The super fighting robot?
The super fighting robot, the one and only.
He fights for peace.
I don't think that's true. Agreed, CaliScrub, agreed.
I feel like
That was not me.
Or Goggle Bob, whoever.
what was I
Whoever
supposed
the
to
fuck.
Okay, so wait, if that goes.
My stream froze, I didn't even notice. Oh wait, no, you were just standing very still.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to.
Because it was a sliding puzzle.
Am I going the right?
Refresh, but you had just started moving again, and I was like, what the shit?
Am I missing something? Is there supposed to be like somewhere I'm supposed to go? No. Looks like I'm supposed to aim for that one area down there, but I have no effing idea how to get there.
Alright, I might be... fucking...
Dead.
Hey, hold on. You can't.
Yeah,
go
there
down.
you go, you figured it out.
No, I didn't.
Go right now. Just man, fuck sliding puzzles. Nobody likes sliding puzzles.
Nobody has
Nobody's
ever liked
ever
them.
liked sliding puzzles.
Like,
Wait.
okay, wait. Maybe I can. Okay, wait. I think I have something here. Maybe.
Lan, awesome adventures, here I come. Shut the fuck up, Lan. You're not even the real Lan.
I missed the real
Like
land.
that the entire time.
I don't. The
Wait,
real
I got
Lan
it.
had no personality. Same as the fake Lan. Damn,
There we go.
that sucked.
Owned so completely and so severely.
Took me a minute to figure out what we were supposed to be doing there.
Totally
Okay,
going
there you
down.
go. You got it. You're smart after all. You're smart and cool, and everybody likes you and wants to invite you to their birthday party.
That has never been true.
I want to invite you to my birthday party, but you're like in fucking not here, so I can't.
When's your birthday, Pete?
March 31st?
Oh yeah, that's right. I will write that down. So you were
done.
like right at the start of like nobody's allowed to have a birthday party this year.
Again.
Nobody's. I haven't had a birthday party since like age 12.
But I mean, like,
There are
just the
way
very
too-
idea of seeing friends is absurd now.
There are way too many people that I see on social media that are like world traveling at this point. I don't know.
But how the fuck are they doing that? Like, 90% of the world isn't even letting Americans in.
It's
I assume they're
so
not
the
American.
The two. No,
They could
it's
be.
like
They could be like from other places
Hawaii.
that didn't fuck up.
People are
Oh,
traveling-
well, Hawaii's
people are
technically
going to
part of
Hawaii.
America, so that explains that.
And I don't know. I guess Mexico is still letting us travel there because I saw a couple like Mexico beach resort photos.
Yes,
That's a
Mexico
bad
is
idea.
definitely something that's
That's a very
allowing.
bad
And
idea.
people
I
are
would not
people
go
in Mexico
anywhere that
are
is
like,
currently
why are you
letting
doing
Americans
this?
go there.
Fuck Mega Man.
Yeah, I saw the I saw one person go in the span of a month, well, I guess it's just two places, but like went to Mexico, came back to California, then is now in Colorado for some reason.
What the fuck? Like, okay, my brother does that shit, but he's actually a cargo pilot, so, you know, that he's literally one of the essential workers. Moving around for, like, companies and stuff. Like,
yeah, this is
not that.
This is
like, all he does is literally land, sign the paperwork, and then go to the hotel to not interact with anybody for the remainder of his time there.
I think I've seen like 3 people go to Hawaii, maybe 4, and then another 2 or 3 go to like, I don't know, whatever Mexican beach resort. So it's just like...
Dumbasses are gonna get somebody killed.
Hey, I mean, it seems inevitable, doesn't it?
It might be themselves, but like much more likely it'll be someone's grandmother.
And then like one of the people that went to Hawaii, like the next week, it's like, oh yeah, here's a bunch of us for our parents' birthday.
Oh god.
Lord.
All right, that's cool.
Oh god. Like, I get it, quarantine sucks, but like, this ain't making it better.
I mean, I just got married, and like everyone's like, "Oh, what are you doing for your honeymoon?" And I'm like, "Nothing."
Staying home.
We are getting to that later. There's nothing saying. I mean, I know the whole concept is you're supposed to go on a honeymoon, like, you know, 5 seconds later after you get married. But guess what? We're not.
Man, even I didn't do that. And like, the world hadn't ended when I got married.
Yeah, it's like
we waited a month.
Yeah.
The thing is, what is it like California's a blue state, man. I thought we were better.
Never assume that you're better than this.
Never assume that you're better. Because, like, I live in Florida, man. I know exactly how bad a state can be.
Yeah, you're definitely at maximum there. I mean, like, every other day it's like...
Florida is the it of every other state, which is to say it's not actually any worse. It's just that everyone there has stopped trying to pretend they're any different.
Well,
Yeah,
legitimately, on a routine basis, I feel like I see headlines that are like, Governor of Florida decides that children should be put in the box.
The worst human in the world.
Into the box.
I would say without hesitation that Mr. Ron DeSantis would in fact eat a baby given the opportunity. Like, if he thought he could get away with it and he thought it would taste good with some barbecue sauce, he would absolutely eat a baby. You can quote me on that.
I'm glad to hear that's quotable there.
I mean, it's not quotable,
This
but like,
man
you know,
would eat a baby.
it's not terribly catchy or anything, but...
Like, put that on some campaign materials.
I'm just saying that, like, there will be a line around the block to piss on Ron DeSantis' grave, and while I'm not, like, all about getting up early to, like, get wait in lines, so I won't be first, but I'll definitely, like, be within the first 4 hours.
I mean, is there a particular thinking that's going on there? Like, I've seen some governors where it's like, oh, they're sucking up to Trump or whatever the hell, but...
Oh, he absolutely is sucking up to Trump. He, like, fucking had a campaign ad where he was teaching, like, a 1-year-old baby to say, build the wall.
Are you goddamn kidding me?
Motherfucker absolutely worships Trump. Trump is his god. He is a man with apparent full, like, power over his, like, cognitive faculties, and decided of his own, like, free will that when he saw Trump, he was actually looking at Jesus Christ. And he will never be dissuaded from that notion. It is impossible to make him think otherwise.
I don't even understand.
He is a disgusting... It feels wrong, like, Bongo once said that it feels wrong to call people subhuman because it makes us feel that, like, it makes us unwilling to consider just how bad humans can be. It makes us, it is a pleasant fiction, but I have no problem calling Mr. DeSantis a fucking subhuman monster because I don't believe somebody with a soul would do the things he does.
Reasonable assessment there.
Yeah, so, you know, As far as I'm concerned, he is an actual serial killer because he has killed... Let me check the numbers.
I will never check.
Here, Florida, all-time deaths. As of today, he killed 97 people.
Just today.
Just today.
God.
Total deaths, 18,000. So he's not a serial killer, he's a spree killer.
I mean, that's well past war crime.
Oh yeah, no, that's literally a war crime.
And
And
the plan seems to continue to be like, no, we will not do anything about this.
He's literally gone on the news to brag about how we are not going to do anything about this. We aren't as high as we were in July, but that's because we were the highest in literally the entire world in July. There was nowhere on Earth worse, as far as like new cases go, than Florida in July. And
Thank
that was
God.
when he announced he was opening the schools.
Just
Just
considering all of that. God.
Like I said, there is no circumstances under which I will ever say anything kind about Mr. DeSantis. I'm sure he's a nice person. I'm sure he loves his wife. I'm sure that within certain circumstances he could be a reasonable facsimile of a human. But he is, as far as I'm concerned, he is not a person.
I remember once hearing someone talk about. I forget what the context was for this, but it was basically talking about meeting like the billionaire creator of some franchise or another. And it's just like, and someone saying like, you know, he was such a nice guy, and someone else responding, of course he was a nice guy. He's a billionaire. He doesn't have to. He can. There is no earthly inconvenience that can happen to him. Like there is no stress putting upon him that would cause him to not be as nice as could be. Doesn't change what he is.
Yeah. But yeah, no, sorry I got all political there. Normally when somebody says that on a video game stream, it's because they're just about to say something like Hitler was right.
Now we're demonetized! God damn it!